Hi, hello, and good evening. We are really gathered here to discuss last night's episode of Big Brother 24. However, it already feels old. So we're not gonna waste any time. Let's just get into it because there's so much to discuss. And honestly, there's a lot that I don't know. Because your boy did not keep up with the feeds this weekend, despite my tweeting. So let's do it. Okay. I am Kyle Petty, and I am joined by my besties, Gina Morgino and John Dunphy. And this is Jury Duty, your favorite Big Brother podcast. I know, very presumptuous. You can find us on the socials at BB Jury Duty or on our website at bbjuryduty.com. Okay, so last night, we saw everything come to a head, basically, right? Well, not really everything, but some things. At least for the casuals, everything, as far as they know. Yeah.
Sure.
Yes. So we left off on Thursday, now knowing that the leftovers are basically on the eve of ending, because we had the leftovers and we had the after party that was formed during Dire Fest, and we saw Joseph walk out the door. We also saw Jasmine, but honestly, that had no political impact. So
God.
After all of this, the entire house is rushed over to play the HOH competition, which is that tiny competition thing. Very stupid. I don't like it. I think they're trying to really force
I don't
this
like it
on
as
us.
an HOH.
I don't like it
as
at
an
all.
HOH competition. I like the competition.
You do.
I went on record on Twitter saying I think I would be very good at this competition. I would not like to test that theory. I would just like to believe that I would be very good at it.
I'm entirely too shaky. There's absolutely no way I could do this.
I kind of like it. I kind of like the competition, but I would have preferred to be Michael or Terrence during it, watching people do it, because I know that that feeling when you get like really frustrated with something and like your back starts to itch and you're like,
Yep.
That's how I would feel this entire competition. I would.
I mean,
hate
you saw it
actually
so
doing
many
it,
times.
but I like watching it.
You saw so many times that someone would like let out a heavy sigh, like, "All right, let's get this done," and just like their breathing would knock over all the cans. It's like, like it's just like imagine it's so frustrating.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they're really trying to force this on us as like a new classic. Like they really want this to be the new OTEV. They really.
I mean, I do like it. I do like the competition.
Well, all right. I am the minority once again.
I'm kind of in the middle because I only like it if I don't have to participate. So, I'm kind of in the middle.
I like it.
That feels like cheating.
Yeah, it sounds like you're just trying to play the middle. And that's fine. And that's fine. I think it's but we saw it this time as an HOH. And as you said, we saw Michael and Terrence on the sidelines, of course, because they were the outgoing HOHs. This competition saw Kyle and Turner in the final throws, and then we see Turner take the W. What do we think about this? Not great. Not great.
I think Turner. It was so incredibly foolish of him to win this HOH. We saw, and we talked about it for so long on the podcast on Thursday night, that he was set up in a perfect way, that he has the leftovers when he comes back in, and now he has this other alliance with the people that were outside. So all he had to do was lay low, and like most likely the people on the inside would have targeted Kyle, and the people on the outside would have targeted either Michael or Monty, and he would have been good to go. I don't understand why he would have won this competition where he had to show his cards when he could have rode the middle and just like let it be for a week.
Yeah,
right.
I really don't get it. Especially like coming in then and like now he's won and the competition is over and it's like I'm literally aligned with everybody in the house now. And then they show
which is why you shouldn't win it. Like
they show him going around being like, oh yeah, you're good. No way you're going on the block. And he does that with like everybody in the house. And it's like, what options are you leaving yourself?
Bad decision to win this one.
he honestly would have done better to do nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Because no one had him in their crosshairs.
Exactly. If anything, at most, maybe if you put like Turner and Kyle on the block and Alyssa won the veto and took Kyle off, so now neither of them could be nominated, maybe Turner is your target. At most. Like, it would have had to have been like, out of Alyssa and Kyle, one of them would have had to win the veto and pull the other one off at most. You know?
Right, but then why wouldn't it still be Terrence?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Right,
Like, the only scenario, yeah.
Right. Yeah. But he says, fuck it all to hell. I'm going to take this one, and wins it. Which was certainly better than the alternative.
Yeah.
If it was not Turner, it really was looking like Kyle was going to take this.
Yeah, he was pretty close.
He was one can away twice.
Right. As a viewer, this worked out great for us.
Sure, right. Bad for Turner's game. I'm cool with it.
Wonderful for America.
And can I just say too, like, this is a perfect illustration of like, just the casuals being so far behind if you're not watching the live feeds. Because I remember at one point watching last night's episode and seeing how close Kyle was winning, and I tweeted out like, it's horrifying to see how close Kyle was to winning this. And it wasn't just because of like who ended up on the block initially or anything like that, but like it had to do with like now what we've been seeing going on in the house, and like why it would have been so problematic if Kyle had won.
Yeah.
And I had tweeted that out, and someone was like, well, it would have been the same thing anyway, because Kyle would have just nominated the same people that Turner had. And I'm like, no.
It's like, oh, honey, you're missing a lot of episodes here.
And I'm like, it's just so funny how you can have so many people watching the show and having two completely different perspectives, because like how fast things
Which is
change.
why the edit is so important. And it's so frustrating when the edit doesn't accurately reflect what we see on the feeds, because you're getting a whole subset of people that are getting a totally different show.
I mean, and also to be fair though, I mean, like we don't really know how this edit will serve this, because all these things that we're talking about really happened yesterday and today. I would like to assume that production gets to take some kind of a weekend and they put some things together, before these things went down. So I feel like the true testament will really come on Wednesday.
Yes.
To really see how much they allow, and maybe Thursday, for editing's sake, maybe some of the juicier stuff is better for eviction night. Who knows?
Sure, but for chronological order of things, it has to come before veto. We'll get there.
Yes, no, it does. It does, but I can also accept, sometimes they do the black and white thing and they say, oh, before this, and they go back. Because, they want to tell a story. I can appreciate that. But if we close out this cycle without getting to some of this stuff, then we got a problem. I feel like you have until Thursday at 10 p.m. to get this right. But before that, Turner did win. And there were a lot of conversations, regarding, do we want to stay loyal to the pound? Because we had that whole thing going on with Turner, Joseph, Monty, and Kyle, right? 1, 2, 3.
It's honestly, it's so funny to even hear them being like, oh, we're all about the pound, when two members of the pound just sent out a member of the pound.
Right.
So who's really for the pound?
Nobody. I feel like the pound is like just like a smoke shield.
They said the pound, and I was like, oh my god, I forgot that this was even a thing that happened.
We hadn't heard about the pound. We didn't hear about the pound for weeks. And then after Kyle and Turner from the pound sent out Joseph, also from the pound, now all of a sudden they're back in the house and they're all about the pound.
Right. I was like, I haven't heard this word in so long.
I'm hesitant to say this. And like, before I get canceled, I'm saying this based off gameplay and what we are seeing here. Okay? There's a disclaimer. But good on Kyle for, in this moment, turning this dire fest situation where he was really kind of like behind the 8 ball by spilling the beans on the leftovers in the way that he did, and then kind of like now having this renewed focus on the pound. I mean, it's
ridiculous though.
It is ridiculous, but it did allow him some safety in this moment.
Yeah.
But
It did. We have to at least acknowledge the gameplay because he's going to get shredded by the end of this thing. So let's give him that at 10:55.
But I think this was just another example of him though choosing Alyssa and this stupid showmance over his actual alliances. Because if you think about it, even if depending on who Terrence nominated, sure, like Terrence still might not have nominated Alyssa to start off with, but they could have played it if Kyle, Turner, and Joseph were actually like staying loyal to each other. Like if Kyle was really about the pound and about the leftovers, then they could have, found themselves in a situation where Alyssa could have gone home. So it's just annoying to now hear him talking all about the pound. But at the end of the day, he's just been continuously choosing his showmance over these alliances.
I know, but I don't know why you're faulting him for that. That's not where in my opinion, that is not where the fault lies. Like, of course, he's going to rely more on the showmance than the pound. Like, the hell with the pound. We already kind of know that that's not a real thing. Like, and at this stage of the game, why wouldn't you want to focus on your final two?
I just
taking a step back from how much you only think it's ridiculous. You hate him so much.
No,
I think because he has set the precedent that he has already chosen Alyssa over everybody. He can't really walk back on that now. You know what I mean?
No, he's got
like at this point, it's like you've made your bed, now lie in it.
See, I think the thing though is that Alyssa doesn't really like benefit him in any way to me. Like he's a target as long as she's attached to him. Like she hasn't won anything the whole season. Like, are you going to ride strong with like this alliance that that can like win power for you and actually get you further in the game, or it's just this one girl that hasn't won anything and literally makes you a target because you're with her?
I understand what you're saying. It's just at this point he has chosen her over them so many times that like they're not going to really forget that. Like even if they say yeah, you're with us, it's still in the back of their mind. So like,
I'm like,
he kind of has no other choice but to abandon any alternate alliance at this point.
Welcome to the conversation, Jason Lowe. I agree. You are damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah.
I mean, Kyle's game is fucked. I mean, one way or another.
Right. Oh, we will get into Kyle. Yes, there is plenty to come.
We will definitely get into that. I mean, even without the things that we're going to get into, his game was fucked anyway.
Right.
But sure. I feel like in this moment, that might have been the safest maneuver.
Yeah.
Is that Maya speaking up in the background? Do we hear Maya?
Oh, you hear Maya?
I hear Maya.
She's pissed about Kyle's gameplay as well.
And rightfully so.
Of course. Everyone's up in arms.
I don't know. I kind of think that there was a point where Kyle was like spiraling and he was like kind of losing it. And he made this desperate move of like throwing out his own, alliance and latching onto the showmance and deciding that he wanted to work with, with Terrence now all of a sudden. And he just like got lucky because Turner went along with it, decided, yeah, sure, Joseph can go out. We can start this Final Four. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, I feel like he like spiraled, made a desperate move and like was lucky enough that it worked. I don't even think that he really did anything that was that impressive to me.
Damn burn. Hey, Aaron. Aaron says absolutely his jury management is done once Joseph gets to the house. Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Without a doubt.
Oh, yeah. No disagreements here. But, yeah, I hear you. I mean, Kyle sucks. This is not really like a defense of him in any way. I just, I want to be fair, to the gameplay of this. We're supposed to be jurors, right? Just leave our personal feelings at the door, right? This is court. This is court. Proper deliberations, And with that being said, I mean, where were we? We're right here. Taylor and Brittany go up as Turner's nominees. So what did you think about this?
I mean, I didn't like it.
It's just like, of course they were.
Yeah,
of course. And I do have some comments on this, but I guess if you're going to fire a shot, listen, I do understand. We have been saying on here even for weeks that like you cannot allow Michael to just keep running amok, right? We have to do something. We have to stop him. So this backdoor plan, to toss Michael
the intention,
up
of course, was to,
it makes good sense.
Yeah.
It's not terrible. I just don't like it.
Right. No, it's not terrible, but it does make sense. And honestly, it's something that needs to happen if somebody is expecting to have the way cleared for those final 2 seats. And that's where we should be thinking at this stage. We're at 8, you know?
Yeah.
Single digits. Single digits.
It's like Michael is just, it's so crazy though with like he's said multiple times, I really should stop winning so much, and he just keeps winning.
He keeps going. It's like, Michael, they're looking at you. Like, what are you thinking? At this point, he has to just win every competition from now until the end. Because if not, he's screwed.
Well, that's the thing. I feel like he can do it. I feel like he can either win the HOH or the veto pretty much every week. It's crazy.
It's exciting to me, but I really don't want anyone unseating the Lady Janelle. I am disturbed that you said that he's coming
very
close.
Close, yeah.
I love that for him as a super fan. It's great.
I think he's, what did Taryn say? 1 or 2 competitions away?
I don't know.
Something like that. Either way, very close.
I don't know either. Jason, I just want to make sure you know that we see you. You've mentioned something here that we have to get into on the spoilers. Okay, I'm not ignoring your comment. I want to get to it.
To come.
Like, we're not there. We're not there yet. So hang tight. Hang tight. We're getting there. We want to make sure we're being true to the cashies, you know. But this comment will show, you know, Turner, Alyssa, and Terrence, and Kyle, you know, to try to take out Monty, Taylor, and Michael and Britt was the right move. If I remove all emotion from this, I can agree with that.
Right.
You know, because Turner being on that side, other than Kyle, who is now kind of aligned with you, there's really nobody there that's going to win anything. Like,
right.
Alyssa's not, she hasn't. I mean, I feel we want to say she can, right? Because she fits the mold of everyone who should win. You know, very fit. Whatever, blah blah blah, but like she's not it. She hasn't won anything, so it doesn't really count. And Terrence, you know, maybe we should stop talking shit because Terrence has won some things.
He has won. He's won a couple of times.
Hold on.
We'll give him that. We'll give him
this
that.
Terrence slander, he sucks, but that doesn't mean that we should be talking about how he can't win comps because he kind of can. He kind of can.
He kind of can.
Monty, Taylor, Michael, and Brittany. That's the side that's really winning things. Okay, so you know, do you side with the side that's always winning, or do you align with the side that's not? Because that kind of does ensure your safety with them, right? Their side won't ever have any power unless they're winning things. If they know they can't win, they might keep you safe. So. What a tricky position to be in, and I think that also kind of like now really brings full circle to the point that like he really should not have won,
right,
this week. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm so busy reading these comments.
I know.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have it on full screen, so I haven't seen any of them yet. So I don't know what we're laughing at. There's
so many good things coming through here.
I know, Jason,
but Matt's here too. Hi, Matt.
Hi.
Hey,
I'm liking Jason. I'm liking Jason's comments, by the way, because I'm reading them, and some of them are changing my mind on some things. Honestly. So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, Matt's not even here. But thanks for popping in.
We have to read Matt's comment.
We have to read Matt's comment. Yeah. Come back and see us tomorrow. Come back and see us tomorrow. All right, where do we? I mean, I know. Honestly, first of all, Jason, do not apologize for writing a lot. We love the chat.
We love it.
No, we're here for it. We're here for it. So first off, Jason, at some point, the house has to split. Doing it with people you feel you can beat and will help you go after the real threats of the house is genius. I do agree with that. Like that's really kind of what we were saying there. Yeah, like I agree.
I think that it's a smarter choice to let one of them take the shot first. You know what I mean?
Turner?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that Turner needs to be firing shots this week.
Of course, nobody wanted Kyle to win this HOH. Like, I did not want Kyle to win this HOH.
A single
However, if I'm Turner... Oh, no. Yikes. However, if I'm Turner, let Kyle win it. Let Kyle take the shot. Let Kyle fire a shot at whoever on the other side. Now they're going to come after Kyle. You're dwindling their numbers, and Kyle has the blood on his hands.
Yeah.
Like, let somebody else do it first. Once you, like, get into the nitty-gritty of it, yeah, you can start winning more, but dwindle their numbers a little bit first so less people are coming after you. You know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. And actually, that comment makes me like this competition a little bit more. And maybe I do like it better as an HOH. Because this was one of those competitions where you could not see how anyone else was doing.
Right.
So you were not in a position where you could say, oh, you know what? I see that this person is a little close to wrapping this sucker up. Let me just throw it to them. That's what you get in OTEV. That's what you get in so many other different comps.
Right.
Especially when you're getting to know, even if it's trivia, you know how many points someone has.
Right.
One of those stay fold situations. You know, this was one like, I don't know anyone's stance. I kind of have to act on my own. That's interesting. That kind of made me like this a little bit more because Turner is now in a position where it's like, yeah, I'm in two different alliances, and if people compare notes, I might find myself on the bottom of both.
Yeah.
Do we consider that? Maybe that was some of his motivation to make sure this won, you know?
Potentially.
Mm-hmm. Erin completely agrees with you, by the way. Erin's supposed to be my friend, so that didn't go very well.
Listen, I make good. Listen.
I really don't care. I'm just having fun.
Listen to me. On the last podcast, I got shredded. All right, let me have this.
You sure did. You received a full dissertation.
I really did. I said one nice thing about Turner, and BB Twitter was like, "Hold on one minute."
So good. You're really, really good. So yeah, we ended last night with who on the block? It was
Brittany and Taylor.
Brittany and Taylor. Do we have any thoughts on that? Because we're really itching to get into the other stuff.
I know. I'm like,
and by we, I really mean me, because I don't really know a lot. So I'm excited to hear some things.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear some things.
Yeah. You say that. I also feel like whatever I know, I feel like I also don't know so much more, because I feel like so much happened that I'm still lost, even with what with what I mean, feel like I do know.
I've been going back and watching clips. I've been reading BB Twitter. I've been reading all the listening to the live feed updates, and I'm still like, I'm missing a lot, I think.
Yeah, I'm still a little lost. I feel like Jason is chomping at the bit to get to this thing. I'm excited to get to, because I feel like he might be able to fill in some of the blanks.
1,000%.
I'm putting a lot of pressure on you, sir. But do we have anything else for the cashies and what we saw last night? Hold on, wait. I had some notes.
Oh, okay, notes. Come on.
Hold on. Yeah, I did have my notes app up. I said I wanted to be a little bit better with this. Okay, so Turner told Monty about how Joseph spoke at Direfest. Oh, yes, we have to talk about this. Hello. About how Joseph spilled the beans regarding Taylor having a final three with Michael and Brittany.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Joseph.
And when I first heard this, I didn't believe it. And then when they showed the video of it, like, this absolutely happened. Do we have thoughts on this? Like, Joseph kind of like fucked Taylor over, no?
See, the thing about Joseph, it was so hard to watch and so hard to like know what was going on, because he no, I'm saying like he had nothing. He was literally just like throwing shit at a wall to see what stuck. Like he was just like word vomiting whatever he possibly could to try and save himself. So he tanked everybody. He was throwing names left, right, and center under the bus because he was just in such a desperate attempt to save himself, which like unfortunately was never going to happen.
Yeah.
So
that really sucked to watch.
So he just sunk everyone.
And it was so hard too watching Taylor get so upset about it, because I believe that was where the episode left off, was Taylor crying in the DR that he sold her out. Yeah. I believe.
Yes, that was one of the last things we saw. Yeah. Crying her eyes out, and all I could keep thinking is like clown emoji. Like, this is terrible.
Because
I don't want her to look like that.
Her stock in it, because
she did.
we said from day one of the leftovers, like everybody was like down for the leftovers for the numbers and for strategy, but like Joseph was the one that was for Taylor. He was always the one that was like, no, I am like riding hard for Taylor. So to know that Joseph was the one of all people to sell her out for us and for Taylor is devastating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Jason, I see your other question. We're going to get to that when we get to the feeds. We're going to get to them when we get to the feeds. I promise.
I'm excited to see what these questions are. I haven't seen them all yet.
We're wrapping up on some of this stuff. We just want to make sure that the cashies feel, serviced too. So, oh shoot. I also wrote, what do we think, and what do we think about Monty's comments? Unfortunately, I don't remember what Monty's comments were. That it was one of those in the moment. Let me just make sure I write this note. Yeah, I don't remember.
So
I think it was Monty kind of buying into some of this stuff.
Well, so I actually wrote down a note because I remember there was a point where Monty and Turner and Kyle were like talking in the HOH room. I don't know if there was anybody else there, but Monty was like, he made a comment. They were all talking about like, Taylor, Brittany, and Michael, and Monty was like in a DR session, then saying like, knowing that there's a smaller group within the leftovers means it's time for me to pivot. Saying like, oh, there's this other group and I'm not in it, and it's like, that's what the pound is. Yes. That's what the pound is.
Right.
So I actually wrote the note about that. So it was just funny to me that like he was so shocked by it. He was like, there's this other group, a smaller group.
Like, you're doing it, babe.
And it's like, yeah, actually, you are in the same situation, and you were in the bigger group too.
That cracks me up every time that somebody like openly does something, but if someone else does it to them, they're like, I can't believe someone would do this. It happens all the time that they're so offended, like, I can't believe that someone would get me. Like, you weren't about to get them.
Okay, wait. Can I just... All right, I do want to go off on a little bit of a tangent here, okay? Because I was playing this Twitter challenge game.
Yes.
Everybody was in the DMs playing their own little political game or whatever like that.
Weren't you the hero? You were the hero of the season, right?
I was the hero of the season, yes. I did win an award. I did not win the game. But I did win hero of the season because I had a good spirit that was positive. Thank you. I didn't come out of there with nothing. But I will say that, like, when it comes to stuff like that, like, okay. So the way that this little game was played, I'm gonna try and really wrap this up quick. I know I spend too much time on this, but like, you're chatting in one group chat, right? And we had an alliance in our little game called the Left Unders, right? So we Left Unders, right? And then there was a separate group. Once people started getting like done with that, and like the numbers were getting smaller, and you had to kind of like face off against each other. A new group chat was formed, right? And I was added to that. And then obviously the other group chat got mad quiet, right? Nobody said anything.
Right.
And then the next time we ousted people, we had a new group chat, and the last one it was quiet again, right? Just like the Left Unders. And then once I realized the current group chat that I was in was silent. Thanks, Liz. Once I realized the next group chat that I was in was silent, I was like, fuck. I'm next. And I lost. I lost. But like I do understand that, but I say that to say I understand the feeling of like, oh my gosh, like I have to constantly pivot. Like this game is changing all the time. So I realize I can't always rock out with the people that I'm rocking out with. And I just wanted to say that to kind of like shine some light on Monty. Like when you find out that something is happening, like I was totally fine with ruling everybody else out when I was in it. But the second I wasn't, I was like, oh my gosh,
right.
They're talking without me. Like I do get it. Yeah. But I also get the other side. It's like, that is the fucking game. Like you can't be involved in it all. But yeah, that was just my real life experience with it. And this was with no stakes, no money involved.
Right.
I can't imagine there's $750,000 involved and everybody's watching. God. No one even knew I was playing this game until I told y'all. Right.
So
like, and I was still embarrassed. So, there's that. I did have another note. This is really just silliness. It's just some silliness. Alyssa not knowing that Paris and London were like two separate things.
Okay, now wait a minute. Was that not Jasmine? I was watching this and I was so confused because A, this happened like 3 weeks ago, and B, I thought that Jasmine was the one that didn't know the difference between London and Paris.
Apparently they're both guilty now.
I don't think.
Well, yeah, because did you hear Kyle then say, "I'm not very good at geometry"?
That was my next thing. He said geometry isn't his strong suit. Then neither is geography, my sweet
The subtitles did
Magadeer.
me dirty because I heard him say it and I was like, did he just say geometry? And I looked at the subtitles and the subtitle said geography and I said, oh, I guess I heard it wrong. Muted? Oh God. Oh no.
Am I muted?
No, everybody's fine.
I could be the problem.
Oh. I mean, everyone else seems to hear me fine, right? Am I an idiot?
I'm just gonna leave.
Oh no.
Carry on.
You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can hear everybody.
I don't even remember what I was saying.
We were talking about Kyle not knowing the difference between geometry and geography.
Oh, I heard him say geometry and I said, wait a second. He just said geometry and the subtitle said geography. So I said, oh, I guess I'm the idiot and I heard it wrong. Just watching Kyle pop in and out.
Yeah, you were not wrong. You are not an idiot. You heard it correctly.
Okay, amazing. Like, it was not addressed, and I was like, "Am I crazy?"
Oh, Kyle's coming back in, but he has to fix his
please.
name.
Technical difficulties.
Of course, always. But see, this is the thing. We kind of have to wait for Kyle to come back in now because I feel like that was his last.
I know.
And we're supposed to move to feeds now, so we can't.
Are we good now? Can you hear us? Are we okay?
Please do not announce my re-coming back in until I know I'm back. I was like, what if I'm not fixed? I was like, don't put this pressure on me.
Watching you pop in, panic, and immediately pop back out was very funny.
Yeah. That was good. That was fun. That was fun.
All right, so the one thing that is really sad about my failure there is that now anything that Jason said is gone.
I have it over here.
Okay,
no.
so
okay.
I know John still has it, so now you're in charge of that part because I can't. So, well, hold on. Before we move on, we're done, right? We're done now with Sunday night's episode. We're gonna move on to spoilers.
I think so.
I made such a big hubbub in the description of tonight's stream about how we're going to make sure we tell the cashies that we're switching to spoilers. I don't want to fuck them over now, okay?
Yeah.
We're going to spoilers, okay? We're going to talk about the veto and everything else that bong, 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 bong. Yeah, we're going to get into all of that. And I'm excited because I know nothing. I only know basic results. Yeah, I'm excited yet. And Jason's excited too. Let's go!
Let's get into
it. Yes. All right, so here it is. Ready? Oof. And no one left us. Thanks for hanging.
Wow, fun.
Thanks for being down the clown. Okay, so Veto was played on Saturday, wasn't it now?
It was indeed.
Wow.
All right, and King Michael took the W.
Oof.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
It's positive and negative, isn't it now?
Right.
Initial thoughts, thank goodness. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
However, I mean, obviously, it presents a problem for Michael.
Sure.
Just ever increasing the target on your back, right?
Yeah. Approaching the record.
I know. And as a fan of this show and appreciating him and his point of view as a Superman. He is a Superman. But as a super fan of the show, I think it's really, really exciting that he's in the running now to either tie or surpass his idol, Janelle. That's really, really fun. But, Janelle is my everything.
Of course.
She is my big brother oxygen. Speaking of which,
Janelle.
Shameless plug, tonight at 11 p.m. Is Snakes in the Grass on the USA Network, featuring Janelle from Big Brother, Rachel Riley, Siri from Survivor, and
Wow.
some other chick.
Not some other
don't know.
chick.
I don't know her. So whatever is going on here, I am done at 11 p.m. because I do need to see Janelle and Rachel. So that's on the USA
Already.
Network, Snake in the Grass. Do you know the concept of this game? Do you know it? Let's give.
Not
I
really.
do.
All right, let's give 45 seconds to the concept. I haven't actually seen an episode. The concept is these 4 people are playing this game, and they have all these different challenges to complete.
Mm-hmm.
3 of them are all working together to get this job done, but they think all 4 of them are working together. One of them is a snake in the grass and is working to actively sabotage them. So if they do not accomplish whatever their objective is, the snake wins. If the team wins, they win. That's the most I know. Now, how money is split or anything like that, if there's some kind of a twist or something else like janky going on, I don't know anything about that. That is all I know. I'm only watching for Janelle and Rachel, and that is on at 11 p.m. So anyone else in a different time zone, we are really talking 49 minutes from now. 49 minutes on USA Network, okay?
Oh my god.
So that's that. Okay, so anyway, so that's what I'll be doing. Okay, and I hope you'll be tuning in too.
Oh wow.
Yeah. We don't have any sponsors, by the way. That was just an ad
that
for
was
free.
just me. That was just my genuine excitement. No one cares about us at all.
Oh,
But like
God.
Jason said, his screen froze. We were just
Oh,
talking. We were just
no.
basically doing a commercial, so no big deal. You
Yeah, you didn't miss
you
anything
missed
yet.
nothing. Snake in the grass in 48 minutes. Okay. So any Hoosers.
Oh wow.
That's where we are now. So feeds, Michael wins Veto, and then subsequently now, removes Brittany.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Makes good sense. I'd say. Because that kind of is his final 2. We know that he had this final 3 with Taylor, but I mean, I guess if you can only save one person, you might as well save
Right.
one person in your 2. Fair enough. No qualms. So now past there. Tell me things, okay? Because a bitch is uninformed.
Where to even begin with what happened yesterday? My God.
I don't know. Should we begin with one of Jason's questions? Is there anything there? Because now that I don't have them, is there anything there that can kick us off, John?
Where do we want to start from here? This is hard.
Jason didn't know he was going to be the star tonight.
So I guess should we? So we were mentioning that Michael won the veto, took down Brittany.
Right.
But there was something else that happened that was a very big thing in the house, and that's that Michael spoke to Turner, right, to tell him that Kyle had been sort of like talking about an all-white alliance, right? So like Jason had this this comment here. He's playing the game about Kyle, but he messed up with the Cookout 2.0. What do you think about that?
And now again, I don't want to say to be fair, because I don't want it to sound like I'm defending Kyle in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
Michael made it a point to say this as well.
Michael made the same. Yeah, he made the same comment.
Michael made it a point to say this as well. Kyle did not say those exact words. Kyle did not say we need an all-white alliance. What he did do was say we need to get me, you, Brittany, named all of the white people in the house, and say that they need to band together to combat, and named all of the black people in the house, or the people of color in the house, to say, I feel like there's a Cookout 2.0 coming that we need to prepare for. So he did name an alliance of all of the white people. He did not call it a quote unquote all white alliance, but the intent was very clear that that is what he was trying to do.
Okay. Can I just share preliminary thoughts here?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. I have made it very, very clear. I have not watched anything that happened yesterday. By the time I tuned into the feeds, people just cooking dinner. There was nothing happening. All right. I missed it all. And I have paid no attention to anything on Twitter. So my opinion is really based on very much nothing, just really what you said there. And I just don't think that somebody right out of the gate should be vilified for that. there was a time where, women's rights was the hot button issue. And we could not imagine a world where we would accept men and women playing against each other, right? But that is what we get in Big Brother now. It's always like, we don't want an all-girls alliance. We don't want an all-male alliance. We always want to make sure we're working against that. So I also don't think it's necessarily a ridiculous thought to be having a conversation around POCs in this game after what happened last year. If that is where the conversation ends, it's when it takes a different turn that I have a problem with it. But like, if everything is being respectful, we never had a problem before that men wanted to work against the women or the women wanted to work against the men. So I think that, because what happens in November if you got steamrolled by another alliance that was motivated by a purpose? It's such a tricky thing, because yes, I understand why the cookout did. Of course, I understand why the cookout did what they did, and I supported it. But like, at the same time, you cannot avoid these conversations now as a result. Because in November, if you lost, and let's just say Taylor won as a result of a potential cookout 2.0, are you not going to sit back and be like, well, I'm a clown?
Yeah.
Because I saw this happen last year and I did nothing about it.
I think the bigger piece to this is, and there were some people in the house that were kind of making points similar to this yesterday. Mm-hmm. We have seen so many people that Kyle assumes to be working together actively working against each other. Taylor was public enemy number one for how long? Terrence is on the block like every other freaking week.
Yeah,
we always see them targeting each other. So to assume that they are all working together based purely on the fact that there are Black people and you think that you're on the bottom of an alliance is inherently a problem.
Yep.
I don't disagree with that, but also in a game that we have all acknowledged changes at like the drop of a dime. Wouldn't you be a little remiss to not like have a conversation around it, as long as it was a respectful conversation? Like, I don't know. Like, it's the subsequent comments that I feel like could now become problematic. But to have the thought, I
just think it's kind of ridiculous to have the thought, though, like with what Gina laid out. The evidence isn't there. Is that the people of color in the house have been targeted repeatedly throughout the season. So how could you look who just like Gina said, Terrence is up all the time. Taylor has been a target all season. Jasmine just went home. Amira went home early on. Like, it's just, there's no evidence that this is what's going on in the house. It's also, so like, to have that thought and to base your game around it, even though there's no evidence of it, is what's just crazy to me.
And that's the thing, is that based on nothing, he was so certain that this was absolutely happening and this was going to be the reason why he's going to lose the game, that he started getting everybody else involved in it and pitching like, we need to band together to stop this from happening. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was so certain that he was willing to stake his game on it and like move against them accordingly when there was no evidence.
Right. And therein does lie the problem. Like, I definitely do hear that. I just don't think there should be so much discourse around just having the initial conversation. I guess that's where I'm kind of coming from. Mm-hmm. So Liz commented, also look at the people who have been evicted. Many POC have been voted out at this point. I don't disagree with that. However, the POCs that left, who are we talking about? Paloma? I'm sorry, she doesn't count. She was very nasty. She just was not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what race she is.
I mean, Paloma was a self-evict. So Paloma was also a self-evict. So I think she's kind of a moot point when we're talking about, because she would not have been on the block at that point anyway. So I think the Paloma conversation is a bit of a moot point.
Okay, so who was after Paloma? Pooch, wasn't it? Wasn't Pooch?
Who put himself on the block?
Right,
He did put himself on the block, but I mean, white. So who was after that now?
Amira.
Well, not nice. Not nice. And like, can't argue that. She was disgusting. So goodbye. And then after that was what? Nicole? Not nice. So goodbye. I mean, like, these things didn't have anything to do with race, at least at that stage. They're just not nice people. And we all cheer.
Well.
And then Daniel. Well, not nice. So, you know, so once we got rid of the not nice people, we're kind of having a different conversation now.
It is just also the fact that, like, we saw Taylor so ostracized from everybody. We're like, even if they were trying to hide an alliance or whatever, like, Taylor was so on the outs of everybody to the point where, like, you formed the entirety of the leftovers based on the fact that she was ostracized and bullied and, you know, all of that. Like, if there was an alliance and people were working and rallying behind her, she would not have been that far on the outs.
Agreed. I didn't make the face at you. I made a face.
Oh, no, I know.
I made a face at Jason's comment or question, rather. What's POC? We're going to need you to be a little bit more woke than that. POC is a person of color. Okay, so get on board. Where have you been and what country are you in? This is certainly a term we have been using since George Floyd. So, like, I just want to, there's that. But okay, that's fair, Gina. That's fair. I like to play devil's advocate. I like to be the contrarian.
Sure.
It's just good conversation.
And it's worth a conversation.
Yeah. So with that, I'm super excited by the prospect of Kyle leaving. Like, I'm not supporting this fan. Because I guess I'm just concerned for when BB25 happens, and there's a good white person in the house, you know. For argument's sake, let's just say you or John get cast to be on BB25. You can't converse about this. You have to just accept that your game is sunk because you're not allowed to talk about that possibility. That's not fair either. So as we're talking about the injustices to POCs and how we have not had, until Xavier, we have not had a winner, you know, I don't want the pendulum to swing the other way. It's still a game. It should just be fair for everyone who's playing. That's all. And in order to make sure that it's fair for everybody, you need to just make sure you have respectful people playing this game. Good people who can have good, strictly game-based conversations. So tell me more about, like,
What's your reason?
It's in question, Jason. So he says, okay, let me ask you guys. So what do you think about Michael exposing it now rather than when Kyle first approached him? That's an interesting question.
That's what I was about to start talking about. So
excellent. Let's do it.
My issue with I'm very glad that this was brought to light because we've seen the edit kind of sweep it under the rug. We've seen feeds cut anytime that it starts to get into that conversation. We've seen it kind of not being talked about. We've seen that happen a lot. So I'm very happy that it is finally being discussed and being shown, and we're having a conversation about it, and that Kyle is being confronted with it. However, my issue with it happening now is that this conversation came after Michael won the veto and pulled Brittany off the block. So now that he ensured that both he and Brittany are safe, now he feels comfortable to take this conversation and kind of use it as a game move to say, hey, here's why we should get Michael out. I don't love the way that it happened. I don't love the way that he brought it up because it feels like he is now using this for game to get out a target and like use it to sink Kyle's game rather than when it first happened, hey, let's have a conversation, make sure this isn't what's going on. He's using it now that he knows, hey, I've ensured that me and my number 2 are safe. So there's nothing that's going to happen that's going to blow back on us and like affect us if we have this conversation. So let's talk about it now that we can use it to get somebody else out. I don't love that. And you know, like I ride hard for Michael. I love Michael. He's my winner pick, but I don't love the way that this happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
I completely agree with that. And this is some of the context that I was hoping for because again, I wasn't aware. And here's Liz. Thank you for this, Liz. Liz says, I just want to point out that the cookout comments aren't the only reason people think Kyle is racist. And that's why I'm really glad. That's why I said what my opinion was before I knew anything else, because I don't know anything else. And I want to know more. So I would like to know more around the context around some of Kyle's comments here. Because on the surface, I do think it's a conversation that should be had. So if there were other things that kind of happened, like I do sort of get that. I didn't even read this first. I really should be screening these things. But Jason says, Gina, I agree with you, but it was brought to Michael almost a month ago. In my opinion, he's using it now because regardless, he has the top 3, and now he risks losing one of them. That's also interesting. Because like we said before, he can only save one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what do you do? Do you save Taylor more for the optics of the situation, or do you save Brittany, who was the person he had this final 2 with?
But again, is the question for purposes of that comment, is is what you're saying that they blew this up to help save Taylor and move the target to Kyle now because Taylor's left on the block?
Or was the intention?
I'm just like, for clarity's sake.
It's good conversation. It's good. What is this? So you bring out the month-old conversation with Kyle. It's dirty game.
Right. Yeah. I think
he says exactly.
Right.
But then is it also? But does it have to be that? Couldn't it also? I don't know.
Because if the problem was the quote unquote optics of it, or if he was worried about like what Kyle was actually getting at with a, not in his own words, all white alliance, wouldn't you have brought that up when it happened and not waited until it benefits your game? That's my issue.
He sat on that information for a long time.
Because, and even in Michael's retellings of the situation to people, he painted it as, I didn't realize how bad it was, or I didn't realize what he was really saying until now, but no new information has really come out to make it that, oh, now I see that he was actually, saying this thing. There's been nothing between then and now to have pointed Michael in that direction of an aha moment. And it was pretty clear to everybody else who was watching from the outside exactly what Kyle was saying. What Kyle was saying. I don't see how you wouldn't have seen it then and you suddenly see it now. I don't know. I have trouble with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they definitely saw it. I feel like Michael and Brittany had conversations about it. And how,
right. And even, there were people speculating that the DR was giving them like targeted questioning to kind of like address it with Kyle, like back when it first happened, that, Michael and Brittany are only addressing it with him because the DR tipped them off that like it might be problematic. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But regardless, those conversations happened. So you knew that it was problematic, whether the DR tipped you off or not. You knew it enough to have the conversation about the optics of it, if for no other reason, with Brittany and with Michael and with Kyle. Like those things happened within themselves. So you did know that it was problematic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So let me ask this. Liz, I see you wrote a lot here. I do want to get to it. I think it's great. I see Jason's commenting too. I don't want to lose my thought. I promise we'll get to it. But so all right. I don't want to get canceled. I want to have an honest gameplay conversation here. Okay. We know that Michael is a super fan of this game. Right? This has been his dream to play this game, and now he's here. If this person is coming from this place, and we know, listen, there can only be one winner, right? And we know that this behavior is something that can sink them down the road. If they can still work for me to win this money, whether it sinks them now in this week or it sinks them later, it will sink them. If I can't change the situation and I can't change this person's view of it, should I not put things in place to make sure that I benefit from it?
So I'm trying to like understand.
I know.
Yeah.
I just think it's fun conversation. Like I don't know. Like, if this is happening anyway, I already know you're not going to win because you're racist, because you're terrible, because you're all these things. I might as well let that work in my favor if I stand to win $750,000. Like,
I don't know. It
So,
just
like-
feels really gross.
no, I'm not saying it's not
Right.
I'm not saying there isn't a little bit of it that is gross, but like, I don't know. Do I allow myself to do I weaken myself? And I'm not necessarily even saying that by doing any of this would have weakened him. I'm saying that this is the point of view of somebody who is sheltered from everything else that's going on and playing a game that we're not familiar with.
Him, Michael, or him, Kyle? We're talking about
him, Michael.
Okay.
Do I now shine light on this whole thing that could potentially maybe blow my game up if I blow up any kind of trust I might have with this person? Do I do that in the name of God, this is so tricky.
Mm-hmm.
It's tricky because I'm Black, and I am trying very hard to be objective here and look at this as a game. But it's like,
Right.
if this is how strong do I want to stand on this? You know, how important is Big Brother in the grand scheme of things? You know, at the end of the day, in November and December, none of this shit matters. It doesn't matter. Whatever stand I took in this game doesn't matter 6 months from now. It doesn't even matter 3 months from now. So do I let that moral high ground I wanted to stand upon now dictate whether I win $750,000? I do feel like the answer to that question could go either way. And I'm not 100% sure that we should be faulting someone one way or the other.
And I'm not
This
sitting
is
here
a
to
game.
cancel Michael, you know, like I'm
Right.
not sitting here
This
saying
is a
like
game.
it didn't feel nice that this is the way that this information came out.
But like, so many people want to cancel people over some of these game moves, and sometimes I think that we forget that like we're playing a game watched by only 3 million people. There are much more popular shows.
And I'm not lobbying here.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting here lobbying to cancel Michael. I'm just saying, like,
Right,
if this
right.
information was to come out, and it should, I don't love that this is the way that it happened. I don't love that it was used as a tool, as a bargaining chip, as opposed to just, hey, we need to have a conversation about this very problematic thing that's happening right now.
I don't love it either, but couldn't one also make the argument in a non-combative way that this is sort of the conversation we created by having the cookout? These are conversations that would have created when you compare it to the male-female thing, and like and that issue. Again, a few years ago, like, and I literally say a few because we're not a good country. Okay, so it wasn't that long ago that, like, you know, women we're still fighting for women's rights today. Okay, so like, we don't fault a single soul for going male female, and it's like in an environment where we did place, you know, people of color versus people not of color, we may have opened the door to some of these conversations and some of this gameplay. That's all.
I just think it's ridiculous to like think that now because there was one season where an alliance called the Cookout was formed, now all of a sudden that's something you have to worry about every season going forward, because it's like the Cookout was formed after 22 seasons, you know, of primarily white alliances that were taking out people of color very early in the game, every season, and now you have BB23 and the Cookout forms, and they do something
especially
historic.
After seasons like 22 or 21 or 15. We've seen so many seasons where like that was a primary factor of like the way that people were getting sent out. So it's also like, okay, so this one time,
right now,
a
all
group
of
of
sudden,
Black people banded together to make sure that like this didn't happen again. So now moving forward forever, we have to worry that like, even though there are 22 previous seasons of that not being the case, the one example of a time where it did happen, now everybody has to stake their game on, oh no, like now we have to worry about an all Black alliance forever.
Well, and speaking strictly objectively, no, I wouldn't say necessarily every season after BB23 has to be thought of that way, but shouldn't at least the first season after it be thought of like it just happened? Like, can you imagine like the flip side of things? Like if you got beaten by an alliance that literally played the game the same way the year before, like take everything else out of it, a game played exactly the same way the season prior is how you got evicted the season right after. Clown.
But again, I just feel like I said, you know, earlier too, like I feel like there's no evidence that there's anything like a Cookout 2.0 happening. When you look at the people that have been, you know, bullied and ostracized in the game, like Taylor was targeted for so long, bullied for so long, you know, it was awful. And like the majority of people that have left the game so far have been people of color. Like it's like there's no evidence that this is what's going on. But still, at this point in the game, Kyle has like staked his game on this fear of that this could happen.
I know, but all right, again, objectively, I want Kyle out very badly. I'm not sitting here. I'm not saying that he should stay. I most certainly do not want Taylor out before him. However, so the argument that you have now presented is that, you know, there has been no evidence of this before. Well, even in this season, there was no evidence of anyone working with Taylor. And then all of a sudden it shifted.
No, but what I'm saying, just in this season, there's been no evidence that there is something like a Cookout 2.0, because the majority of people that are left have been
right, but there
of color,
also was no evidence of the leftovers acting as anything and Taylor being included in something. And then all of a sudden she was.
Well, sure, right. But Kyle's also aware of that. Kyle formed the leftovers.
Right. And well, doesn't that also now put you in a position of like, I am aware of how quickly things change? Am I not a little naive to think that things may not change just as quickly, especially when I was on the outside of the house? That's all. I don't think that he should be villainized just for having the conversation. Now, if there were other things that come outside of that's kind of where I'm focusing on. Like the gameplay of it, I don't take issue with the conversation happening. It's more about if there were any comments or other side conversations that would make me feel otherwise. But like, just on the surface, I don't know. I think you'd be kind of silly to not like consider it. It's just such a sensitive topic that I feel like no one wants to address it. But like, that's also not really fair to like the good white people in the world, you know?
Well, I have to say, at 9:56 p.m. tonight, Queen Tiffany Mitchell tweeted that Turner is trying to convince Monty that they should consider Taylor, but Monty is trying his best to convince Turner that Taylor won't target him. So apparently, there's conversations going on with Turner potentially still wanted to target Taylor.
Okay. And I would need more context around that.
Yeah.
To decide how I felt about that. But I don't know. Do I sound crazy? Like I'm just trying to be like.
I understand what you're saying. I understand.
Yeah, I just want to be objective. There's a lot of comments coming in, and I haven't read any of it. So I didn't want to be waylaid. So let me see it. The last thing I read was that when Jason said, "Until my final 3 is on the block." Right. What did Liz say here? This is the paragraphs. Let's see. He called Monty, Taylor, and Joseph loud, intimidating bullies, despite them never raising their voices and them being flexible within the leftovers. Called Monty villain of the season, said he's scared of Terrence.
He also, I just remembered.
That is a red flag waving thing.
There have been many microaggressions.
I also
just
remembered that Kyle said that Joseph was a scumbag. He said he called him scum.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did read that. That didn't bother me. It bothered me in the sense that I like Joseph, but when it's on an individual, I kind of take a little bit less stock in that in terms of it being a prejudice. Mainly because, we have to play the game how we play the game. Listen, if I want to win $750,000, I'm gonna say to everybody, John's a dick. John's a dick. Don't take John. I'll go. Come on, let's final 2. Fuck John.
I don't know. To call somebody scum, I feel like is I don't know. That bothered me.
Yeah, I'll call you scum for $750,000. I'll give you $100,000. At the end of it, we're made in the same, man.
But the fact that it's not even true, Joseph is not a scumbag. Kyle flipped everything on him. A member of the alliances that he's in, the leftover, the pound, and now even after Joseph is gone, he can't defend himself. You're calling him a scumbag, saying all these terrible things about him.
I don't know, man. If you want to give me $100,000, I'll let you call me scum. You can call me.
I think too, correct me if I'm wrong. I think what Kyle is saying is more. It sounds like what Kyle is saying is more as an isolated incident, it's not a problem. But when you lump in what he said about all of the other people of color in the house, now it is a problem.
It is.
And now, correct me if I'm wrong, was it Daniel or Kyle that was making a big deal about when Taylor gets put on the block, she's going to fly off the handle and she's going to freak out and painted her as the angry black woman.
Yeah.
When really all she did was just sit in silence and be sad. Was that Daniel or was that Kyle? I do not remember.
I thought
Daniel. Daniel said that.
Oh. It was Daniel. Okay.
Because then also after Taylor didn't react the way that Daniel predicted she would, Daniel then made a point to go up to her and be like, "I'm really proud of you. You're really handling this so well." Right. It was just oh, so gross. Get out of here, dick.
Absolutely. Jason asked, let me ask you this. If Kyle won HOH, would Michael have brought the whole thing up?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Well,
not yet.
Well, no. If he didn't. I mean, he didn't bring it up until he had won the veto, did he? Or did he bring it up before?
No, Michael brought it up once he had won the veto and knew that he was going to save Brittany with it.
So if Kyle was HOH and Michael had won the veto, maybe he does bring it up. I don't know.
But I think the point is more if Kyle was HOH, Kyle would not be on the chopping block, so he probably wouldn't have brought it up yet. He brought it up now because maybe Kyle is able to go home.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do we also think, though, that by making that comment, you've kind of helped protect Taylor in a bit?
Potentially.
Because we possibly use race now to save Taylor because we don't want other people to think of us as not being kosher.
But the issue is if Kyle is HOH, who else has got what's the alternative? Kyle has the power to put up the replacement nom, so it's not like they could put up Alyssa to weaken Kyle. Kyle is the one with the power in that situation, so I don't see how, if it was a game tactic to bring it up, I don't see how that's beneficial if Kyle is the HOH in that situation.
Yeah. You're right.
Right. That's fair. So I'm catching up.
Reading the comments, yeah.
I know there's a lot. There's a lot. The hot button issue here on Jury Duty tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Who said Mondays sucked?
I mean, to be fair, I think you did, but
I did. I said Monday's a throwaway stream. No, everything happens on Mondays. Well, this comment. Kyle was playing the best game out of all of them. I think Michael saw that and his final two got put up. Just my opinion. I don't think he was playing the best game, but he was playing a good game until
the end. It's so crazy because at one point, Kyle was set up so well in so many alliances. Like, he was in a really great place.
Yeah.
And then because he got himself paranoid, tanked himself. Like, very quickly.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Liz has more paragraphs. I'm not even going to screen hers. Oh, wait, hold on. Because this is a directed question. Jason to John. So you don't think learning from the previous season is smart or fair?
No, I mean, I guess it is smart. It is fair to learn from previous seasons. But, you know, if you're talking about the cookout and then, like, worrying if that's a threat to your game on this season at this stage, I feel like, to me, from my opinion, is just that, you know, I don't think that there's evidence that that's what's happening in the house. Like we've said, you know, a lot of the weeks that we've seen here, the people that have been evicted are people of color. From the very beginning of the game, Taylor was bullied and ostracized and treated terribly in that house. She's been on the block like crazy. Terrence has been on the block like crazy. I don't think there's any evidence that there is a cookout happening. Monty has been a target. Monty's name has been in people's mouths. I don't think there's any evidence that there's actually a cookout in there this season. So if maybe that's something that you think about now after last season, but if there's no evidence at this point in the game, to me, if you still have that thought in your mind, it's because there's other biases and things that are, you know, affecting your mindset that I don't think have anything to do with gameplay, but are just, you know, rooted in race. And I did actually see on... Oh, go ahead, Gina.
No, continue. I'll talk in a minute.
Well, because I did see also on Twitter somewhere, and I didn't see this on feeds. I think I've seen that people have been commenting this, that apparently there was some kind of house meeting that they've seen house guests talk about.
They cut the feeds for it, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if, like, since the meeting happened and feeds have come back, maybe house guests have just been talking about it. But apparently, even Kyle himself admitted that like his reasoning for this was rooted, you know, in race. So this is something that Kyle has even admitted. Taylor actually, I think, was one of the people that I saw people writing about, where, you know, was seen bringing it up on live feeds and all that. So yeah, just something else I saw.
And the other thing that I was going to say to kind of like piggyback off of what you were saying too is, like, because I have seen, you know, like, maybe there is an argument to be made. Like, maybe there was no evidence that the cookout was working together last season either. You never saw them in rooms together. You never saw them talking. But there is a big difference between there was no evidence of them working together, but there also was no evidence of them targeting each other. Whereas in this season, we have seen Terrence get targeted, Taylor be targeted. So yeah, there's no evidence that the cookout was working together, but they also weren't actively working against each other. We have seen people actively work against each other that Kyle is assumed are working together. Like, it's a different situation.
I agree. I guess, though, I think what's tricky, at least for me, from the outside, you know, looking in, trying to be very objective here. Everything that happened with Taylor, one could also, especially if you have blinders on, you don't really want to see certain things. You could certainly convince yourself very easily this was really just a bunch of girls teaming up against this one girl. Because a lot of what happened to Taylor in the beginning, I do also think, well, in the and I'm talking like the first few days. I'm not talking like the weeks after. I'm talking like the first like 3 to 5 days. I do feel like what was happening to Taylor could have happened to any girl. This was just a bunch of jealous girls, jealous of a pretty girl, that then took a little bit of a darker turn, but I think that's how it really, really started. I don't think that was a race thing in the very, very beginning.
Sure.
I think Paloma and friends were just super, super jealous of the fact that Taylor was always with the guys, and that's where Paloma imagined herself being, and she had a problem with it. And then started those things.
I do also feel though that even at that stage, like they were making comments along the lines of like that, you know, if Taylor went on the block, she was going to freak out and be so like loud and like you know, like I feel like there were still comments like that and like microaggressions.
No, there definitely were.
Pointed at Taylor at that point too. So I think that like I think at that point it was honestly more than just like a bunch of girls like bullying and what this other one girl. So I think that's where it all started. Everything that we saw, you know, at that stage is where really everything that we saw that happened to Taylor. That's really the root of everything that happened.
I agree with that. Liz has an interesting question here. He said that he also wanted to target POCs, you know, because their reasons for being there, you know, being representation could unite them. How would you feel if in all future seasons, white contestants targeted POCs for that? It's an interesting question, and unfortunately, I don't know that that's something that we can really get around. I don't know who this question was really for. I'm just going to take the lead on it. Anybody else chime in like where you want here? But I do feel like that was one of the cons to the cookout happening, is that now it just brings light to this conversation. To the same point, like how do we feel that all the men always want to get out women? All the women want to get out guys? Like if there was a world where we could see this as a not sensitive topic and see it as a little bit more benign as male female, because again 50 60 years ago we would not have seen that. It would have been that much more controversial like back then, but now, you know, we kind of accept it. I'd love to see a world where we kind of do accept that it's not as big a thing. It's just like just how things go, you know, like, you know, girl power and like, I don't know, man pride? Question mark? I don't know. We don't have a name for it.
I don't like that.
What?
I don't know. I didn't know what to say. Like, what do you say?
That?
I know, but what do you say in response? I don't know. Girl power, and then like, I don't know, men. I don't know. Like, what does one do?
I don't think there's nothing necessary. We don't have to say anything.
But okay, but at the same time, is it necessarily okay that a man just lies down and just lets a woman win simply because of, you know, girl power? No. So like, I don't know. It just feels very sensitive right now. But does it always have to be that way? I would love to believe that it doesn't have to be. It could just be a simple conversation, like. And when do we get there? How do we get there? I don't know. These conversations? Question mark, question mark? I don't know. I'm not Malcolm X. Oh my God. I don't know. I don't make the rules here. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I mean, like, you don't agree? You don't know? I know everyone's scared to talk on it, but like, but we shouldn't be like.
And again, it's just we've seen the evidence in so many past seasons of it going in the opposite direction. We've seen so many times, which is why there was a casting initiative to get more people of color on these seasons, which, to be fair, is still not exactly, you know, 50% white people and 50% everybody else is still not an equitable split. Like, I'm just gonna say that.
No, it's also terrible because like we're still counting. We're still like, it should just be we're just casting who we're casting.
But again, like we needed that casting initiative because there was always like the lone person of color that was immediately targeted by all of the white people in the house in the majority alliance. It happens all the time. So just because one time a group of Black people joined together for a greater cause does not mean that now everybody coming into new seasons has to worry about, oh no, what if the Black people take us out? That's a problem. Like, I get that it happened this one season, but there's 22 previous seasons where it didn't.
Right. But it was also the most recent season. How do you ignore what happened most recently? Like, In any other situation, if you weren't talking about race, you would say you're crazy for not considering that. And now we're going to vilify the person who does. Now, the other comments do not count. This is strictly just on the game, but like how do you know?
But the problem is this game
move. It doesn't
move.
seem like he did it for game.
And that's what I'm saying. This game move stems from all of those other comments, so they do count. Right. It is very important to the conversation. Well, everything else that he says is.
I also need. Yeah,
I'm just trying
to be fair.
Like John was saying, Kyle himself in this house meeting that we weren't allowed to see because they cut the feeds for it, Kyle said that decision was rooted in race. Like I did think of those things because of internalized racism. That is exactly where this came from. Kyle said it himself, as we've heard many people recount in the house since the house meeting.
Well, what else has Kyle said? Let's fill in some of this context now, because we've given I've been trying to give Kyle some latitude for some of these conversations. So, let's whittle this sucker down.
Latitude.
I've given him a lot of latitude to say a lot of different
really
things.
Have.
I have. Well, because I'm trying to be fair. I don't want to just. I don't believe in just canceling somebody without a proper conversation. Let's really explore all sides. And then when I cancel you, you're canceled. It is without a shadow of a doubt. You deserve to be in the position that you are in. So let's fully explore it, That's all I'm saying. I just don't want to shut anybody down. Jason has a lot that he said here, and unfortunately I wasn't watching.
Let's get into it. What do we got?
I don't know. I'm trying to read it all. Just like Kyle before, but once I saw what he did flipping Terrence and Turner, I started to respect the game. That was a good game move in that moment. He did do a good job there. He did shift the target off him. That was a good move. But I also don't think he used race in that moment though. Which is why we can confidently co-sign. Yeah, I did have a problem with this. Jason also said, Joseph turned on Taylor. He is a scumbag. Well, he did kind of. He did. He definitely was desperate. But he definitely threw her right under the bus. And I wonder if she would have cried as much knowing that then.
Yeah.
Leave that there. And then this is kind of to Gina's point, Jason saying, that's all Michael is doing. He's using race as a game tactic. And that's pretty
Absolutely.
Scary. Yeah, and that's unfortunate because it does make me view Michael slightly different, except again, if it's a situation you can't change, should you not at least allow it then to benefit you?
It's just the timing that's the problem.
Yeah, and I think because I've seen some people saying too, the only reason that Michael used this now was because Kyle has now flipped on them, Kyle and Turner, and so now let's use this now to damage Kyle only because he flipped on us, and we would have still kept this hidden if this situation hadn't come to be.
Yeah.
So something else that's been out there.
I don't really disagree with that either. Two other interesting points here. So there was no evidence last season and no evidence of many alliances, right? And that is kind of the thing there, we haven't seen any evidence of, a cookout 2.0, but that doesn't mean that it cannot arise, especially as numbers dwindle. I do think it's at least worth the conversation. But again, the other comments around it is what kind of invalidates that. But strictly objectively, yes. But this is also an interesting point. So Jason also said, did Taylor not mention that she wouldn't put Jasmine up, and why? And she did. She said she walked into this house kind of with the same idea of the cookout and saying that she was not going to put another black woman up. However, this was a black woman who was actively working against you.
And not to mention, if memory serves, everybody else did not co-sign Taylor on that. They were like, no, that like, I understand like you want to do that, but like we want Jasmine out of here. Like it wasn't like, you know, a group decision of like, we can't put her up for this reason. That was on Taylor. Specifically, Taylor said, I don't want to do this. No one else was with her on that.
Right. But then does that not also now help to put a target on Taylor's back? You know, you're saying that you're playing the game with these people, but you're also saying that you wouldn't put her up. So have you inadvertently said now that you're in this de facto final two with Jasmine?
Well, I mean,
how far does that go?
Well, look at this past week. You know, Taylor was inside the house at Brocello with Jasmine. She said specifically she didn't want to be the one to put up another black woman on the block. This past week, we saw her vote another black woman out in Jasmine. So, like, it's not that she was unwilling to see somebody go. She just didn't want to be.
She didn't want to be the reason. Yeah.
And that's fair. But now, but how far does that go? So is Taylor going to allow a Jasmine to get all the way to final three because she won't vote against her?
It wasn't about voting against her. It was about Taylor did not want to be the one to put her in the position to get evicted.
We just saw Taylor
voted against her.
Yeah, Taylor voted her out. It was a 2-0 vote.
But it wasn't about the vote. It was about just playing the game the way like she feels like she needs to. Like there's just so many different ways to look at this, and that's why I feel like it's so tricky to hold someone to so much. And I'm not saying that Kyle deserves any of this defense. This is taking Kyle out of the conversation completely. This is without him. But it's like, for me, that does, if I were not black, it would be a reason for me to maybe at least, maybe not at final 8, but down the road, look at Taylor as somebody who may not work with me. Because what happens when you are in power and you have to make a decision between me and this person? Only one person can win. So, like, am I going to go with the person who is maybe a little bit more open to it being anyone versus the person who is already ruling out this one person, even if you have not played the game this far with them?
Oh, I don't know. All I know is that Taylor voted Jasmine out.
Yeah, well, I know, but I just feel like there's a little bit more to that, you know. Point is, Taylor brought up race, and she says you wouldn't put up another black woman. I don't know. That's some evidence to me. A little bit. I don't mean it means that Taylor should leave right away. That's certainly not what I want. But, like, I'd have to keep eyes on that. Sure. It's kind of like playing the game, you know. Gina's is not a great.
Because, like, Taylor just did not want to be the person in power to cause another black woman to go home. She was willing to vote her out when she was on the block. And also, like, sure, maybe that is like, oh, Taylor isn't willing to put up another black woman. That does not automatically mean that you should lump all of the other black people in the house together as part of it. Like, that is something that Taylor said she wants to do for her. That might be evidence that Taylor wouldn't be willing to take the shot at another black woman, but that doesn't mean that it's evidence that all of the black people are working together to get everybody else out.
It is. I completely agree that it's two different things, but it also does mean it doesn't also rule out the other possibility.
Yeah, but also saying it's a possibility and saying it's a fact and now we have to get all of the white people to form an alliance to get rid of them are two very different things.
Right. Well, right. We're also having two separate conversations because, like, this is again not in defense of Kyle. I am defending the right to have the conversation. I'm not saying
Right, but I feel like
I'm
you're
not saying
leaving
that
out
Kyle
all the all the things that are causing that, you know, like
no, I'm intentionally leaving it out because I'm
if this
trying to have a
conversation
conversation just about game. Like,
But the
if you want
issue
to
is
invite
if this
Kyle to it, then
conversation
it's a little bit different because
but that's
he
the
did
problem
have
is
a-
like we're talking about it because of Kyle, and the reason that Kyle is talking about it is because of all of these other things. So in this
Right.
particular situation, it's kind of hard to erase the Kyle of it all. You know what I mean?
right. And I guess we're having the conversation because of Kyle, but I'm trying to have a conversation for the people who come after Kyle. I guess that's really where I'm coming
Yeah.
from. I'm having this conversation from the point of view of the Ginas and Johns of the world who might apply to play Big Brother after this and are now scared to have this conversation because they don't want to be viewed as X, Y, and Z. That's where I'm coming from. And it's like, I do feel like it is unfair to the good white people, you know, in this country that now they may.
But I feel like it's unfair to the people of color that are in the house right now. You know, like we're
Right.
talking about white. We're talking about white people that might play the game someday.
But why can't we have a conversation about both? We don't have the conversation about just one. That's what I'm saying. Like, we don't have to just have a conversation just about what's unfair today. Like, we can also discuss like what's not right tomorrow. Like, that's. I just feel like that's just part of the conversation. Like,
I just feel like I wouldn't play the game like Kyle. So, I don't know. That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
From that perspective.
I hear that. No, I do. I think the game will lose something if now we start feeling like, all right, this is a conversation I can't have because I'm white and I don't want to look like this. Just like I'm black and I don't want to say that the white people could be after me. They might be. How do I protect myself against the Kyles of the world? So, like, am I allowed to talk about this next year? Can I talk about, like, I could be concerned that an all-white alliance could be working against me? Am I now? But I'm now not allowed to say that because.
But I feel like that's what it was for 22 years. It was like primarily all-white alliances dominating. I know, but it's just.
So, like, so what am I supposed? So what? We cannot have any conversation around it at all because essentially what we're really saying here is this is too sensitive to talk about. That's really what I'm feeling right now, is that nobody really wants to have this conversation because it feels like we're walking on eggshells here. And what I guess what I'm trying to say here is that, like, we should not be, because we're not being disrespectful. In the same way, we have this male-female thing. I'm arguing that we should have a similar conversation with, like, in race. I don't know that this country is there yet, but I'm just saying I feel like we are all at a disservice here by not being able to discuss the potential of this when we are now saying that half of this cast is going to be people of color. How do we not have this conversation anymore? So the cookout happened and we don't talk about it anymore. That's it. Unfortunately, it's part of the conversation. Like, you can't. You can't.
I don't know.
So maybe we'll leave people with that. Think about that. Take the week. You know, I don't know. As long as you're having a respectful conversation around it.
I don't know.
Well, that's all I have on that. I don't have anything more.
I have two small little things, just Big Brother related.
Yeah, go ahead.
That are kind of fun.
We like fun.
One is that okay. So one is that Kevin from BB Can 10.
Oh yeah,
is engaged. He got engaged.
Great.
Right? How about that? And then the other is
Is
that
she black?
Taylor. Oh my
Kyle.
I had to. I just had to. I had to.
The other is that Taylor
Mhm.
Hale won
Oh,
the
yes, yes,
E! News TV Scoop Award for favorite reality star.
Good for
That's
her.
it.
Good for
Which
her.
I would just like to make known that means that she beat out Kim Kardashian. So like, good on Taylor.
That's right.
That's
That's right.
amazing. All right. Don't ever doubt the influence of Big Brother.
And like, from my understanding, won that vote by a landslide. Like, it was not even remotely close.
Yeah, that's true. I saw that.
So is it really, should we be cheering on like Big Brother itself and its impact on like, you know, this country's culture, or really just how crazy this fandom is?
If it means Taylor won, all of the I don't care. Give the credit to
Yeah.
whoever. Give the credit to Taylor because she's a queen.
Our next question is really for Gina.
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah, this is a good one.
It is and it isn't. Jason wants to know, do you guys remember Josh from BB19? That is Gina's bae.
I love Josh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not. Listen, I am who I am.
And I make no bounds about
That
it.
season was garbage, but I love Josh.
Oh my god.
And you know what? Controversial opinion. I like Paul too. All right, I'm just gonna say it. I know that Paul has a lot of enemies in the BB fandom. I think
But
he's a good
why
player.
though? Like, what was the problem with Paul?
They didn't think that he did what he did in the kindest of ways.
Hmm.
I'd have to rewatch.
I mean, that season top to bottom was garbage. Like 19.
19. I don't totally remember it because I was in a
That
BB
was-
blur at that
that
point.
was
'cause
Jess
that's when
and
you first
Cody.
put me on.
That was Jess and Cody. That was who else was on there? Raven.
Matt
Oh my
and his
God.
cereal.
Yes, Matt Collins.
Yeah.
Wasn't no, that was 20 with Brett and Rockstar. That was 20.
That was 20.
That was 20. Yeah. I don't totally remember that. I just remember being like, I just remember Jess and Cody and like just feeling so bad for them.
See, I do not like Cody. I think I enjoyed Jess for the week that she played the game without Cody, but when she was with Cody, I was like, no, thank you.
I didn't like them either, but I just don't like to see two people just on the outs.
Sure.
I just don't like to see it. Yeah, it just makes me uncomfy.
Wasn't Christmas on BB19 also?
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yeah, she made it to final 3 with her bum ankle.
She sucks.
Unbelievable.
She sucks so much. We really got into it tonight.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's still a lot unsaid, but that's all right. Is there anything else for the benefit of the community here?
No.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I feel good about tonight's conversation. Thanks for hanging. Thanks, Jason and Liz, for your fun opinions and feedback. Jason says, how often do you guys do this? Excellent. That's how we like to end. So the week ahead, we cover Big Brother 24 and we're covering the challenge. Okay. I kind of forced the challenge on everybody else. And they got on board. So we're doing the Challenge USA on Wednesdays at 10:30. We like a nice half hour after the episode ends. Get yourself a snack, make a cup of tea, and come join us. Have a tinkle. Yeah, have a tinkle and come on down. So we're doing the challenge at 10:30 on Wednesday after the episode, and then obviously after the eviction on Thursday, we're live again. So 3 times a week we're with you. Don't hate Kyle, guys. I think the media is brainwashing people. Well, nah, I don't know about all that now. I mean, I still do hate Kyle. Look, I'm not his friend. I just want to defend his right to have a couple of conversations. Not as far as things went. I don't support the majority of what he does. I just think that, I don't know, as everyone is sitting around enjoying their spam sandwiches, I can understand why the conversation would come up. that's
And I will say
had
too,
spam in Dire Fist. They had spam. That's where I got
yeah.
Yeah,
I will say that I do understand what you're saying, but like just for me, I guess I can't take away the other stuff from the gameplay. You know what I mean? Because of everything that I feel like I've been BB
Is
Twitter's
it
been crazy.
the context
it's
in
hard
which
for-
Kyle
yeah.
specifically brought it up? That's like
It's hard for me to remove it, I guess, because I've for the last 24 hours been like so ingrained in it, like just so like so it's like it's just hard for me to remove it, I guess.
And again, like I understand what you're saying in terms of having the conversation, but it's very hard for me to remove Kyle and the rest of his context from the conversation, because the reason why it came up wasn't just a conversation. It was, by Kyle's own admission, racially charged.
What exactly did he say, though? Because that's some of the context that I actually don't have.
What did he say about...
I guess before we get out of here. So what was actually said? What were some of the other comments? Because only Liz really gave me one here that I didn't love, but I was kind of able to like kind of scurry around it. But like, what else?
I mean, so a lot of this, from what I've seen, is like from this house meeting, like, and there's been
what was this house meeting?
Yeah.
I heard
The feed's
I heard the feed's cut off.
Yeah,
right.
So we're only getting bits and pieces of retellings of people in the house talking about the house meeting.
Right.
I hope we get the house meeting on Thursday. But
what did we even hear about this house meeting? I know nothing.
Well, again, one of the major things was Kyle saying, by his own admission, like, I had these feelings based on race. Like, by my own racial bias, this is the conclusion that I came to. That is like the main takeaway that I have heard.
Yeah. I know that Taylor was talking about it. Terrence was really upset about it, but I know that he was also very upset at Michael and Brittany about the timing of everything, like how they decided to use the information. Terrence has been like really upset about it, but I mean, like, I have to really look back onto BB Twitter to try to find more details about exactly how everything played out in the house meeting. But I know that's what's been like the big thing.
And that's the big problem, is that it's a lot of just like piecing together of retellings because we weren't allowed to see it.
Right.
I think people are like tweeting about what they're hearing, house guests, like comments that they're making about like what happened during the meeting, but like haven't actually been able to see anything from that meeting.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely anxious to hear then like a little bit more around that.
I really hope we get footage from that meeting in Thursday's episode.
I hope we do too. And I hope that's the reason why they took the feeds down, because they're actually going to give us a proper edit.
I'm trying to think if it would be on Wednesday or Thursday. Did that happen before? Yeah, because Veto was today. The Veto meeting, right?
Yeah, the ceremony was today.
Okay,
Veto
then
so it's
then the house meeting would have to be on Wednesday. Yeah.
Yeah, I very much like to see what that looks like.
Yeah.
To have a slightly more of an opinion around it. The last disclaimer I will give is that, again, I did not watch any of these feeds. I'm just defending the right to have the conversation. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Before I get shredded like Gina did on Thursday. I just want people to know that I'm just defending the right to have the chat. It doesn't mean that the other conversations and comments are okay, but I do think you'd be looking kind of clownish if you were sitting there with Julie, simply because you didn't think of it. That's all. You guys hate that too. That's all right. All right. So Wednesday we have the Challenge USA at 10:30, and then on Thursday after the eviction, we're live again at 10:30, and we'll be finishing this conversation because by then we will really know what the edit gave us on Wednesday, and we'll see how things turn out. So obviously we left things as what? It was Taylor and Kyle on the block.
Yes.
And I'm sure that even just that will divide the house. That could give us some of our answer even really right there as to how people feel about Kyle's antics and tomfoolery / shenanigans. I do agree with you, Jason. Yes, Michael is a master manipulator. We have yet to see now if any of that is really to our favor. I'm starting to lean a little bit towards no. I'm not loving Michael right now. I know we don't want to say it. We don't want to say it.
I just wish that this whole situation went down differently.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Again, there's a lot of context to be filled in,
Yeah.
So we'll really come on Thursday with our hard decisions. So I hope you'll join us. Jason says, "Do you think Kyle is going home?" I hope so.
100%.
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Even if Turner is wavering, like you said, Tiffany was tweeting about or whatever. Turner's the HOH. She doesn't get a vote. Doesn't matter.
Right. I guess my worry. I mean, what are the votes this week? It would be.
There's only 5 people voting, so
Michael, Brittany, Alyssa, Monty,
Terrence. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
He should go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess there's even part of your answer too, because once Kyle goes, this conversation is over.
Right.
Doesn't that also mean something?
Right. Yeah.
Because the other non-POCs are not having the same conversations that Kyle is having. There is also that to note. So.
Yeah.
Except that again, Michael did kind of use this in his favor.
Right.
There's a lot to continue watching. Yeah, there's a lot.
There's a lot. It's totally true.
Yeah. Hold on now. Jason says Alyssa, Terrence probably vote for Kyle to say. Yeah, that could be, but there's still 3 votes on the other side.
But I don't know. After yesterday, I don't feel as though that's likely.
No, I don't even really think that he has Alyssa anymore.
No.
Apparently,
not from what I was seeing.
Broke up with him.
Yeah, exactly. From the little bit that we broke up with him, I think
they're totally real and serious relationship that they've absolutely had.
Yeah, she was breaking up with him anyway because didn't he only take like 10 seconds to finish?
Like by his own again, which he was loudly talking about on the live feeds himself. So
that was ending anyway. Yeah. Okay, a girl
So
who looks like Alyssa is not going to accept a 10-second man. I mean, even Missy Elliott says 1 minute. Sorry, I don't know. It's not good. It's not good.
They did those poor pool floaties.
Oh God.
Not even long enough to pop one.
Ugh. I don't want to talk about this no more.
Well, we're already done. We've already talked about it longer than it lasted. So.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah. So there you go. Is right.
Oh man.
All right. Anything else? Almost 2 hours. Yikes.
Damn.
I know. I was like, I'm gonna be in bed by 11. Something else.
Guess Janelle will have to wait another day.
Falsas. Oh my God! I totally missed it. I'm like Janelle. Who? I'm missing Snake in the Grass.
And you did your whole advertisement.
Your whole promo.
Your whole advertisement at the beginning.
Oh my God! Y'all got me all going. Damn it! Something else Kyle ruined. Not Petty. Not Petty. The other one. Damn it.
Oh man.
All right, we're out of here. Thanks for hanging out tonight. I don't want to say this is a fun night, but I thought it was a productive night. We had a good conversation. So thanks for hanging. Thank you. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for everything. This is Jury Duty. We're going to continue to be presumptuous. It's your favorite Big Brother podcast. You can find us on the socials at BB Jury Duty or on our website at bbjuryduty.com. Again, thanks a lot for hanging out. Yes, good night, Jason. Thank you so much. Yeah, it was a nice convo. We did have good times. I hope we don't get canceled. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you Thursday, if you're a BB fan. And that's it. We're out of here. Thanks so much.